let me welcome my friend Jose, who he's a Spanish guy living in the UK for something like 25 years now, around more or less, in a hostile environment, full of bad food and full of bad weather and full of Corona and now full of Brexit in the near future. So he's a poor guy. And he has developed something, a talk he calls Wait Flow, which is a bit strange, as well, flow doesn't wait, or when you wait, you don't flow. And I'm really interested to see what he does. Jose is a good friend of mine. He's a Kanbanero. Well, I invented the claim Kanbanero, but he claims that he's the real Kanbanero. And maybe he is. Stage for you, Jose. All yours for the next hour. Thank you very much. Very welcome.
Thank you very much. And welcome. It's great to be here today. So I'm going to start the session. We're going to talk about what we call the concept of wait flow and how to visualize wait flow. But in this session, what I'm hoping to do is to keep you busy. So I would like you to spend a little bit of time, hopefully exploring with each other some of the concepts. We're going to do a little bit of like exploring how to visualize end-to-end flows and so on. So hopefully it's not going to be me talking for 1 hour and that's it. Okay. So please, any questions, anything like, like raise your hands if you know with either visibly or with Zoom. But yeah, we're going to be exploring this concept. Don't run away. So the first thing I'm going to do before opening the session is that I'm gonna ask you a question, and the question that I'm gonna ask you is, when, in your experience, when your organization decides to go agile, what does it typically happen there? When, following on what Mike was talking about, what are the typical things that the organization does when they decide to go agile? I'm gonna open the rooms. I'm gonna give you about 3 minutes to have this conversation. And then we'll come back and we'll just have a quick chat. All right? There we go. I'm gonna open the room now. So if you can please join the room and say hi to people there. And then just have a conversation. When someone goes agile, what happens? And if you're here because you don't want to join the breakouts, that's absolutely fine. If you're here because you couldn't join the breakouts, please let me know and I will send you over. I'm assuming the people can unmute themselves, yes?
Good. Yes, they can.
Yeah. Start with a question. I hope you edit this out later because there's going to be a few breaks in sound. Hello. Marcos, hi. Hi. Hello.
I stopped the recording for a minute.
Let me just, I'm going to put the screen here for a few minutes before we go. So basically when we talk about this, what we're going to be talking about is the end-to-end flow of work, okay? So we're going to be looking at business level flow of activity. So, things that we can connect to the terms like business agility and how do we resolve some of the wicked problems that we have. We tend to have often in our businesses. Some of this is underpinned by the idea of flight levels. Flight levels is to me, it's very much a conversation framework. It's about how do we explore and how do we try to resolve the issues that we have in our business. And going to partly as well, connected to some of the things that Mike hopefully was saying as well, is many times, it's not about starting with the answers. We need to start understanding what the questions are, what we're trying to do, what aspirations, what our outcomes are. So of all the flight levels model, this is going to be doing today is very much about the area of understanding the context. And of all the possible things that you may have in understanding the context, we're talking about typical typical problems that we see in many organizations. Like we have lots of dependencies. Who has issues with dependencies? Raise your hands if you want. Yeah. Things about understanding what are we trying to aim as a business, what are we trying to achieve, like the idea of like what is our strategy, what is our true north, that Mike was saying, and so on. We seem to have that problems. Another one we do is how do we actually change? How do we change in an effective way, which is not enforced, which is not pushing change at people or making people suffer the consequences of change? Again, another one that we see all the time. And the last one, which is the whole idea about trying to understand those end-to-end flows. How do we as an organization win? How do we get to done? As again, connecting to what Mike was saying, hopefully. So that's the area where we're going to be focusing on today. And with that in mind, what I would like to propose is that we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. Yeah. And what I would like you to do is in groups again, I'm going to send you in groups, going to give you about 5 or 6 minutes, no more than that, to just this is not about perfection. This is just about conversation between yourselves to try to talk about in your organization, what is a typical end-to-end workflow? What are the typical steps that you will see? You have columns, you have a Kanban board, or something like that. What are the typical steps that you will see trying to bring any product or service to market? Ideally, all the way from idea to market. Okay, so how are we going to do that? I will share my screen again. We're gonna use a little Jamboard. I don't know if you have used it before. But in this Jamboard, what I would like you to do is just give you a sandbox. I'll share my Jamboard very quickly. And in that sandbox, what you're going to be able to do is to basically put ideas in there. So if you're going to end up in breakout room 1, this is that you can go here and you can start essentially placing post-its. You can select a post-it, type where it is, like whatever, and place it there. So you can start creating your own kind of like workflow. If you end up in breakout room, go to the second one. If you're in breakout room 3, go to the third one, and so on. Okay. So in the chat, I'm going to put the link to this document, and I would like you to enter it. And I will see people appearing there. Yeah, I can see people appearing there. Great. And what I would like you to do, remember, is to explore in your organization or in typical organizational context, what are all these, the high level end-to-end steps that we will have, okay? I'm gonna give you 6 minutes. You're gonna be in the same breakout rooms, and I'll let you explore these ideas, please. See you back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send Alfred and a few of the people that were not here before to new breakout rooms. So Nevina and Alfred, I just invited you to go to a breakout room as well, please. I got someone on his own. I know, there you are. There's 2 people there now. Can you see the document?
No. Well, if I clicked, I would possibly see it, and I click now.
Yeah. Alex, someone just said, it depends on the flight level. Good.
Okay, so I mastered ground level already. Yeah, I see the document. Depends on the flight level. That's great.
End-to-end flows tend to be more about level 2.
Oh, you were prepared for a lot of participants.
Yeah.
Yes, this is one thing I could learn from you, to be prepared better.
I just love the style you have when facilitating and moderating. It's like efficient and quick, but not hectic, and very friendly, but also very firm. I like it.
Came back. Is it Alfred or Pinar?
Pinar, I think.
Hello, Alfred or Pinar. Can we help you? Let us know. Pinar just joined us. Pinar, I'm going to invite you to join a little group, yeah? So that you can do a bit of they're doing an exercise that they're trying to visualize quickly an end-to-end flow. So what does it take? What are the key steps go from idea to market? Okay, so I'm gonna invite you to join a little group, and hopefully you can join their conversation. No, it's gone. How are we doing for time? 2 minutes 50. Okay. I've got the one that says customer need met, and in between.
This is where the magic happens.
Okay. Now I'm seeing a few. I started to put a few more in between. But there is a lot of people in one breakout room one.
What do you have behind your chair, Jose? It looks a little bit like a sword.
It's a elliptical machine.
It's a machine. It's still the machine. Okay.
Yeah. We're still recording, by the way. This is gonna be like blank. Hi, Kirsten.
Yeah, it will be cut anyway.
Yeah. Kirsten, people are in a breakout room. Look, I almost call it like a little bit of like a mythical creature. It's something like it comes with the same place as the elves and the gnomes and the unicorns. Stuff just appears on the backlog, and it's going to be great. It's going to be ready for development, and we expect it to be almost spontaneously well done. So if you start looking at it, this backlog is not really the backlog. Perhaps it's just like the development backlog. Because before that, we may have done all the analysis, and then there is something like a product backlog further apart. And if you look at this even further, we have a product backlog here, but before you even go to the product backlog, we may have some sort of waiting for approval, some approval process. We may have done before that some sort of like prototype or concept. We may have had some sort of like approval stages for some steering committee. Someone may have done some rough concept, whatever that was, and we may have some sort of like initial ideation steps in there. And along the way, even when we are doing things where we're doing the rough concepts, the detailed concepts, and the analysis, we still may also have some sort of dependencies, weight, and all those things. All right? Which one of you say like this resonates with you? Like to see like maybe some hands up for those of you that are in video. Yeah, we end up with this kind of like big weight flow, workflows. And if you notice, a lot of weight flows, sorry, I just went back too far. If we look at these things, a lot of these columns, what they are doing is you start visualizing, you start capturing all these waiting steps. We are waiting for something to happen. We are waiting for one meeting to happen, or for approval to happen, or for something else to happen. So we're starting to see all this weight emerging. Even though our initial visualization of this was all about what we were going to do. We were going to probably will say, oh, we're going to do some sort of like ideation rough concept. We will be doing some sort of like detailed concept, some sort of analysis. But we start emerging all those waiting steps. So how many of you used to have a Nokia phone? It's going to tell your age. The old Nokia phones, and you had like the snake game. Remember the snake game? All right. So we're going to play a little bit of a visual snake. It's going to be a flow snake, and we're going to be building this. So what I'm going to do is share with you a process. And in this process, there are going to be some activities which are going to be useful and active and work is, and something is going to be happening. And then there are going to be some steps where we're simply going to be waiting for something else to happen and stuff like that. So I would like you to start looking at this process and say, okay, which part of the process is going to be active, is going to help us to get to this done job, and there is going to be some of which part of this is things that are not really useful. And I'll show you very quickly how this is going to go. Give me a sec while I share my screen and I get the right window in there. Oops, I need to go. I've got Windows on Windows. This is typical of Zoom. So you have a step, the process here, and what we're going to be simulating is the sort of steps that will happen if you have a child that has a ADHD, which is like hyperactivity process, something that probably how they will handle it in the UK. Okay, in this first step, you may have a situation that says, okay, the school teachers are worried that the child has this ADHD, so they think they need to notify this to the parents. So you look at that step and think like, okay, it looks like something is happening. The teachers are making some sort of decision. The unit we're going to use is the day. So even if something happens, which are like 10 minutes, we're going to say that something useful happened on the day. And in this case, this was probably the conversation between the teachers and the decision to do something. So if that's this, is 1 day of activity. So I'm going to go to this cell, the first cell, and I am going to paint that green. Okay. Now, next step, it says 3 days later, the admin team produces the letter and posts it to the parent. So probably for 2 days, nothing happened. I'm going to make that red. And on the third day, we wrote the letter and sent it on the post. So this second step consumed 3 days. And there were two days that nothing happened, 1 day where something happened. Third step is going to be the post takes 2 days to get to the parents, to get to you. So probably I'm going to say that in all reason, probably is going to say 2 days of waiting there, yeah, while the letter gets to you. Cool. There are steps here which might take 1 cell. There are steps there here, like says you might wait for 7 days, you might wait for 14 days. So what we would like you to do is to start painting all these cells. We've given you 100 cells. You don't have to probably use all of them. If you think that is more than 100 cells, you can just keep adding rows. Okay, but you might not need to use all 100. Okay, so how we're going to do this is I am going to share in just a second what we call a document selector. So I'll send you the link to this document. And again, if you're in breakout room 1, go to to click on that document. If you're in breakout room 2, go to that document and so on. And this will open the same document for all of you. At the top, it should say which breakout room you are in. Yeah. And I have done the first 3 days for you already. Okay. So I will share that document right now in here. And we'll let you go. Open the breakouts. I'm going to give you something like 10 minutes to do this exercise. Okay. So you're going to have 10 minutes to do this exercise with your pair or threes. So hopefully we'll do that. If you end up being on your own, I will try to probably merge you in a different room. Okay. So the link is in the chat now to the selector. If you can click on that, I would like to see people appearing in this document. There you are, I can see a few people. So I'm going to open the breakout room. I'm going to give you, as I say, 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes to go as far as you can. Remember, this is not about perfection. This is about exploring a little bit between you. How much of this is, how many days of activity or inactivity do we have? Any questions? Happy to go for it? All right, so I'm going to send you, I might merge you a few people if you end up on your own, but otherwise, off you go. 10 minutes. Oh, I've got people in every room, at least 2 or 3.
convinced
Pause?
Alfred to a room. That's good.
Was that?
You convinced Alfred to join the breakout room.
Yeah, it's that minute. Do you want to pause again so that there is no massive black space here?
Oh, that's a good thing.
Not really used properly. A lot of waiting time that's unnecessary, probably. Just to find out that the kid's perfectly healthy.
Yes. And that's the. I mean, we'll talk when the group. Actually, I'm going to close the rooms now, and they're going to come back in 30 seconds. So when they all come back, we will have that conversation with people. Yeah. But yeah, you're right in that, you know, without visualizing this, it might appear to be a very healthy situation in the business or things like that. Marcus, you need to start recording again.
I already did.
Okay.
Thank you
all
for
right,
reminding me.
Welcome back, all of you. All right, so if you would like to, any of you, unmute yourself, and you want to share your thoughts about what you were doing. I mean, I can see here, this is breakout room 4. Yeah, you use 86 days with, you know, it looks like that. Breakout room 3, you got to 54 days, but there is some similarities there. 85 days, breakout room 2, and 86 days, breakout room 1. Almost seems that you've been looking at each other's. Excellent. Okay, so when you were looking at this, okay, what's your conclusions, your impressions, your feeling?
In room 1, we had a discussion, and it really depends on what your background is. So on the one side, we had the discussion. Okay, let's organize the specialists so that in a way that customer needs is fulfilled faster, so reduce the time. So and on my side, I'm coming more from the production side, so I'm working for an external system. So, and I was just thinking more about how to better use the red time. So what I do instead, because I have several products to get out of my line. Yeah, and so I think, okay, let's think about how to use this waiting time to expand production or whatever.
Okay, so that's an excellent point. Let's just explore that for a second, because you're making some really interesting point there. Yeah, what is the product here? If it was something flowing through this system, in this case, what would be the product, the work item?
The work item, it's in the end, it's help for the child. Yeah, so whatever whatever it is.
Yeah, so it's the child. Yeah, exactly. So in this case, it's the child, and the child has been for like potentially 80 something days. When I did this myself, my example, which I'm gonna show you for a minute, I also had 86 days around that much time. Yeah, so but imagine yourselves. I mean, maybe the child is slightly more unaware. Imagine that it's us going through a medical process. Like imagine that, you know, we need to have something check up or something like that. It takes ages for us to know the answer. It takes ages to complete the medical process. Yeah. While that is happening, what's happening to the workers in the hospital, in the system, the people working on the system? In this case, might be the educational and health system.
And in the end, the teacher is waiting for this 86 days.
Yeah.
How you call it in English? So all the medical staff has context changes, so they change from one kid to the other. So for sure, this is a problem in there. On the other hand, the test would be, okay, how you improve the output of the whole system. So in the end, are you faster if you do it in the upper way with one kid after the other, or you check, okay, let's say 20 kids through the system, what will be faster? This has to be the test then.
This is an interesting topic again, because when you think about the people working, the teachers are going to be doing a number of cases. They might be doing all these other children that they need to do. They will be doing other types of jobs. They're going to be very, very busy. The hospital staff, very, very, very busy. Yeah. In our businesses, very, very, very busy. So what I see with this kind of situation, when you start looking at the end-to-end flows, yeah, is that we have put all the effort, all the emphasis in getting the workers busy. Is the whole concept of resource efficiency. We want people to be busy. But when you start visualizing the work, and in Kanban, for example, we keep talking like focus on the work, let people self-organize and so on. So when we have actually flow management or flow thinking, and you start paying attention to the work looks like this one. It looks like the history of a piece of work is to spend most of the time waiting for someone to do something to them. Either for a process to happen, for a meeting to happen, or simply for people to have time to work on it. Or for one team finish the work and the next team that needs to do something because they're going to be maybe some sort of handover will pick it up 3 months down the line because they're busy doing something else. This is kind of like the sort of thing that we see in businesses. Does that resonate with people? Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Is it Lila? Yeah, that was great. Or Frank? Yeah. Great. Someone else? Any other observations as well? Love that one. It was that good, the observation, that it got everybody quiet now? Okay, well, it's good. So this is the sort of thing. What the interesting thing is that in many times in our businesses we are. I think it was I don't know if it was Shaima or Casal when we were talking about this. Sometimes without visualizing this stuff, without visualizing what's happening end to end, our probably feeling is that we might be feeling that things are okay. Yes, we are busy. Yes, there are dependencies. Yes, we interrupt each other probably more frequently than we should. Yes, I'm probably doing more work in parallel than I should, so I'm task switching too much. But no, I am not really aware of how bad it could actually be. It's when you start visualizing it and you see things like this. I mean, this is a red monster, if this is the process. Do you think that this is reflective of the real medical example? Because I think that if it was a real medical example, it probably would be about 3 times longer and all red. So in some ways, I'm even showing you something that probably is even highly optimistic. Okay with that? Away with that? So if you were going to look at this and you wanted to do a very I really don't like using numbers here, but if you were looking at the ratio or the comparatively how much green stuff and how much red stuff you have, would you think that you're operating a efficient process? Who thinks is not efficient? Okay. Some people say maybe. Who thinks is efficient? In this case, work is spending. I mean, this is the typical thing that you might look at it and you say a piece of work that might have actually gone through our organization, and it has taken about 2 years to surface from the moment someone had an idea or requested it all the way to get into the market. Yeah, we still see companies like that frequently when you really look at the end to end. Yeah, and if you look at this kind of situation, this doesn't feel like a very efficient process. For knowledge work, for complex knowledge work, it might be okay. Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't look great. It looks like there is potentially improvement opportunities. So we have something called the concept of flow efficiency. Let me just show you a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back to the slides. So when we are looking at this now, what we might have in a situation is that in many companies, we are putting when we look at our agile and agility, we are looking at this step. Remember, we started with this. And we are obsessed with making teams agile. It could be development, it could be marketing, it could be HR, but we are obsessed with making this thing agile. Yeah. And I've seen teams, for example, saying, hey, we brought our, they're maybe doing flow metrics. We brought our typical delivery, from 30 days down to 27 days. That's a great achievement. Let's go and have a pint. as in you do in the UK. But then you look at the end-to-end and you say, yeah, it was 3 years and 30 days, and now it's 3 years and 27 days. Your customers, the ones that you need to meet their needs, are not celebrating. They're probably gone to the competition by now. Yeah. So if you look at that, if we're looking at this process, what you have here is like potentially is like what we said before, a lot of red, nothing happened. A bit of activity, nothing, a bit of activity. And then we go like, hey, we are so agile. We are just awesomely agile here. Yeah. When you measure that ratio between how much activity, the green dots, the green cells, compared to the total time, elapsed time that it takes us to deliver, you end up with numbers like this. Okay? And please do not pay too much attention to this percentage, the number itself, because in the calculations, I mean, remember, we did about 10 minutes of work on one day, and we said, hey, the whole day becomes green. That's not the point. I mean, I've seen companies getting obsessed about calculating these things or saying like, okay, it's 8, now I want to be 90. Look, if it's really, really red, making it a little bit less red, having more, the green to taking more part of this process, that can make huge difference in your organization. Okay with that? Cool. So if you were going to calculate the flow efficiency, the sort of thing that we will do is flow efficiency is, as I said, the active time over the total elapsed time. You probably have your the snake in your other screen. So if you could just very quickly, could you try to calculate that and put it on chat, please, for me? I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to try to do it. So look at the snake that you did, and you were going to calculate that. What sort of efficiency will you come up with?
But Jose, you're asking us just by day, not by the minutes, because I mean, as you said earlier on, it is often only 5 minutes or 10 minutes in a day. Yeah,
just by day. If you try to do flow efficiency at a really, really precise way, it actually is not useful at all. One is that you will never be able to. You're going to put so much effort in trying to measure it that is just no point. It doesn't give you much value. Yeah. So just roughly, what is the balance between green and the total number of cells? So someone here says 14%. Group 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be somewhere around 14-15%. Okay. So what that tells you is like, yeah, I mean, like 85% of the time it takes you to deliver something has been that piece of work waiting for work to happen on it. If we could somehow reduce some of that, we will be gaining a lot. But not having to do anything different other than having more focus, having more flow, ensuring that things don't take too long to get done. Yeah. So bring your flow management principles and flow management thinking. Okay. In knowledge work, in complex environments, many times we see flow efficiencies which are way, way, way worse than this. If you and remember, like calculating it is error prone, yeah. But if you were visualizing it the way we did, for example, there would be maybe one or two green cells in every 100 of them. That kind of like bad situation, yeah. So having fewer red cells, or the total balance between red and green to go a little bit more green, that could be a significant change. And I'll give you an example. Like some of the major corporations, huge companies, are hugely inefficient. These may be companies that are making billions and billions and billions of profit, and they might be operating at this kind of efficiencies. The 1, the 2, the 5, the 8, whatever it is, yeah. So if you think about companies that, despite that kind of like low efficiency, low flow efficiency, they're still making significant amount of money. Yeah. Imagine if from they make the ratio of green a little bit more, like they double it, or they even got 10% or 20%. How many billions of additional profit that could generate, turn into? How much like, cost saving could they have? How much additional focus to deliver better services and products could they have? Yeah, that kind of thinking is what I would like to suggest. So what we'll typically then say that in environments where there is very low flow efficiency, like the example that we have had, yeah, it is way more important to visualize those waiting stages than the working stages. And this is what I use a word, a little bit of play with words, yeah. And this, instead of calling it the workflow, we should call it the wait flow. In low flow efficiency, the most time work spends is in the waiting columns. And funnily enough, those are the columns that typically we don't even visualize. When you go to end-to-end flows, usually people will say ideation, discovery, I don't know, I'm just putting them, it's like planning, development or execution, verification. Yeah, we are visualizing even in those end-to-end, we're visualizing the stages where we do. What we don't visualize is the stages where the work goes there to die slowly, to get stuck, to not move. So it would be way, way, way more useful for us to visualize those wait flow stages, where tickets go to get old and not move and lose validity and lose relevance for customers, not meeting those customer needs and so on. So my suggestion would be that would be something really, really useful, and experiences to visualize that can generate great awareness, great conscientization. The typical difficulty in business to talk about, like, hey, we need to balance our work in progress. We have too much. Yeah. Something as visual as this can actually trigger those conversations. Like, how can we improve things? Yeah, maybe we need to do less so that things flow faster. Yeah, that kind of conversation. So this is sort of thing that maybe agile is not about what happens in the teams, in the individual teams. A lot of agile is what happens between the teams, what happens when, in all those interactions. So focusing on the team, you might be trying to do a lot of agile, but the company is not going to have any agility. It's not going to demonstrate any business agility or any market agility. What we're doing is just optimizing silos there. Okay. So how could we get some portable experiments that you can try? If you feel that you want to try and see, or propose them and so on, things that you could do. Perhaps, like, as I say, visualize your end-to-end wait flow. So actually start mapping those elements that you have, and then visualize how work is. Map how the work arrives and departs your board. You might not be able to visualize the entire end-to-end, but try to go as little by little, as far as you can, and then also visualize or map how the work arrives and where and how it departs your board, your system. If you have lots of waiting stages, try to question why are they there. What purpose are they filling? How are they helping the business be better, do better things? Sometimes we have steps there which made sense a few years ago and they don't make sense anymore. Yeah, or the purpose has disappeared, or the business has evolved and there's no reason for it. I've been in situations where I have people doing a step and say, why are you doing this? Oh, because the CEO wanted. And then you ask the CEO, and the CEO says, like, I never wanted that. I only asked the question. Myth was that the CEO wanted it, and no one questioned it ever again. Yeah. So if you can remove as many as you can, not all the waiting stages are wasteful. Sometimes they're useful in terms of like balance our flow and smooth things around. Okay. So this is not an exercise of removing all the waiting stages. It's an exercise of removing what is not useful for us in order to win, in order to meet those customer needs. Yeah. At the end of the day. Another one, capture the flow metrics across the end-to-end, throughput, cycle time, work in progress, aging. All those metrics are useful beyond the team, and they actually become very, very useful when you start mapping the entire flow as well. So they translate to that thing. And the one metric for me, which is the secret magic potion that we have in agility, and most of us have not heard and most of us have not used, is aging metrics. Agile metrics allows us to anticipate when things are moving slowly, when things are likely to not meet the customer expectations or our service level expectations if you're using Kanban. So agile metrics, I've seen them as being transformative in the conversations that we have. We start zeroing in like, okay, there is this word that is moving slowly. What are we going to do to improve? And the last one, perhaps, is like, there might be something about exploring flight levels architecture, which is connecting your end-to-end, the different teams, is connecting all these things between teams, how things connect together. Yeah. I will just ask your question is about, having done this, is there something, how are you going to use this back at work? Is the last slide. So if you want to put it on chat, 30 seconds, it would be great to know how any of this you might be wanting to use it at work. You can type it in chat for me. I'll give you 30 seconds. And I know time is almost overrun. I'm Spanish. I don't understand time, by the way. So if you want to write that something there, that would be great. If not, I just want to say the presentation and a previous recording of this talk are available on this link. I'll put the link as well on the chat in a minute. And if you want to read more about the sort of things that inspire us, 2 books. This is linked by Niklas Mordic, Rethinking Agile by Klaus Leopold, and then there is a few videos and blog posts that we've written about this thing. And with that, I would just like to say thank you very much. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I'm happy to take any questions, but probably I don't know if we have time.
This depends from the participants, obviously. So thank you very much, Jose, for this inspiring talk. And now I know what weight flow is, and flow efficiency is a difficult metric to use in practice, but it's a very, very helpful metric to understand your flow of work.
Yeah.
So, any questions to Jose?
Let me make a note of that, actually, because I know we call it a metric, and you see my own reluctance to say calculating the numbers. For me, it's a great indicator. For me, it's when you visualize it's a useful awareness, conversation starter. It actually might give you ideas of there is something that we need to do, but I wouldn't treat it as a number. When I see people going and even criticizing it and say, oh, you have this number with the number probably is not calculated correctly anyway. But I see people say, okay, I got 10 and I want to be 20. I say, yeah, but what does that mean to you? Yeah, but it's a great indicator to say we've got problems. Actually, we might have problems in this part of our workflow. Why are we wasting so much time here? What is happening here? What can we do to try to smooth the flow, accelerate the flow? But it's very useful for me as that indicator of flow issues. Thank you, Marcus. You just remind me of that.
That's why I'm here.
Any question? Yeah.
Well,
any questions or any thoughts?
Maybe you can give a hint. It's quite a kind of hard question because we're here talking about flight level 1 and one system. So normally you have a bigger system with a lot of teams of this flow. So and then you get on flight level 2 and you have to find out the threshold of the system because normally there are 20, 40, 50 of these running in parallel and with end of resources. So, and the big challenge is, I know it from a different perspective of air traffic management. So you just have this number of planes in the air and you have slots in the airport and so on. So you always try to find out the threshold. So which parts of the teams you calm down to get better output of the total system. So do you have any hint where to look at how to optimize the threshold of the total system if it's getting bigger?
That's
I said it's a hard question.
It's a very, very hard question because it's probably going to be a very contextual base. Yeah. So as you were saying, I will definitely not be looking at. Not definitely. I don't want to be so categorical. It feels like it's probably a flight level 2. So just to go quickly, flight level 1 is about delivery. Flight level 2 is all about coordination, orchestration, dependency management. Yeah? Flight level 3 is about the strategy. So it probably is something about flight level 2. And if you have like several flight levels 2, you might have a flight level 2 or flight level 2s as well, even more. Yeah. So it's in those areas where the dependency monster, the coordination monster hits in. Yeah. Where I will be paying all my attention to say where can I see systemic delays, where can I see potentially localized opportunity to do some improvements that benefit the whole system. I will not be doing that at level 1. I will not be doing that at the team level, most probably. It will be at that higher level to say, because I mean, what I see so many times is like teams that keep starting work because they have a capacity, or even product lines that start doing work because they can, but then there is a shared service somewhere, like for example, let's say the legal department, which is maxed out, and they are not going to be able to work on this for the next 2 or 3 years, just to exaggerate. Yeah. So if you're not going to be able to, if you're not going to be able to complete that work, why do you even bother starting it right now? If you're almost certain that you're going to be blocked or you're going to be delayed, perhaps to the point of making the work obsolete and irrelevant, don't start. Don't start because you can. Start because you believe you might be able to finish it.
Yeah. Did you ever start?
So I don't know if I'm answering your question exactly, because there is no any specific thing. It's very much a contextual. How are we working here? How are we working to the best of our own abilities, capacity, and our customers' satisfaction? Yeah.
But did you ever start on level 2? Because in my experience, quite often you start getting level 1 teams faster, and they are trained to get fast. And in the end, they have to be on time, not the fastest. So, and if they are trained for a long time and the culture is there to get faster, then you have a problem on level 2, because to get them back onto just to be on time. So I'm already starting thinking maybe it's better to start on level 2 than on level 1.
What we will say is like, if you can go as high as you can in that flight level structure. Yeah. So if all you can is ever work with the teams, all right, you start off at that team level, but making the team, the delivery function in some ways aware that this is why your dependencies are happening. This is why you have so many blockers. This is why we cannot predictably or reliably complete work. And then proposing things like, okay, you see, if there is a coordination issue between different teams, could we perhaps start visualizing this? Yeah, I talk about the product backlogs coming from the land of unicorns and all these things. Product backlogs can be visualized almost as a flight level 2. So the workflow will be what's happening to all those features, epic, whatever your naming is, at this flight level 2. And if one piece of work, one feature, one epic requires a number of teams to get involved, because not all the teams are going to be fully cross-functional in a big company, yeah, or in a big workflow. So if you start visualizing those, you can start giving yourself the opportunity to start thinking about, wait. I'm asking teams to work on this, but I know that I'm not going to be able to finish this. I've seen this happening. We did this with a company in London. It was a London-based subunit of a big American company, and I had something like about 14 different product owners, product managers, and something about 10 to 15 Scrum Kanban teams. So each one of the product managers was basically just focused on managing their backlogs. And they never really visualized that connection. They never visualized how what they were trying to do might impact the company's ability to deliver. So what they were actually generating was they were constantly interrupting the teams. Do something for me, do something for me. My thing is important. My thing is important. They were unaware of how what they were trying to do connected to what other product managers were trying to do and how all that connected to the strategy of a business. Yeah. And it was by trying to visualize that when I remember one of the product managers one day saying like, you know what, I've been killing my teams. I've been killing the teams and started to say, you know what, it might not be the right thing for me to try to get this thing done. But without that, each one of those product managers, basically they were fighting for their jobs all the time. Mm. There was no collective vision of how do we win together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if that was a very long answer, but
no,
but
it's the same expectation, same view on it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we should close the session. The good thing is we have a networking area where we can finish or continue the conversations. When you go on iRooms, there is a networking area. This is remote. This is a virtual. Well, it's like a conference area with desks where you can click on, and it's really funny. The only hurdle to join it is that you have to have an account or you have to authenticate via Google. So you can either create an account, it's for free, or you can use your Google SSO if you have one. It's open for another hour, so until 10 p.m. And a lot of the other guys seem to be there already, or some of them, I don't know how many. So if you like, join us in the networking area, and maybe we can make friends or something like that. Jose, thank you very, very much. Very kind of you presenting to us your talk. Will you join us in the Remo, Jose?
I will be there for a little bit. I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm gonna have a family going. Time to have dinner, but yeah, I will be there for a little bit. And I want to say thank you to all of you. I mean, I know that it's like, well, it's after 9 o'clock in Germany, so you know it's late. Thank you very much. I had a great time and good conversation. I'll be there for a little while in the socializing area.
Okay, maybe one last question to the participants. Bye. So this is the first evening of the first event that we did. So did you like it? What should we change? So if you have a quick recommendation to us, give us a hint.
Just one small feedback. I think I met some people who were might expecting some watch talks, like sitting on the couch, getting inspired, and other are expecting workshops and doing something. And I felt like this wasn't clear, but the whole event itself was nice. It was very nice. I liked it a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a good one to make it explicit what kind of session it will be.
And I will say something because it's not from this conference, but other conferences is this thing about like, I know that some participants, we want to be, it's been a long day, I just want to be passive. I just want to be listening to ideas. And as you say, some other people might want to, I don't want to be listening, I just want to be involved in conversations and things like that. So yeah, it's a good point, Dennis.
Okay, so thank you all very much. See you in a minute in Remo. If you manage to bypass the Cerberus who cares for the door. So be properly dressed. We're in Berlin here, so it's really we got the guy from the Berghain. He cares for the door. Okay, see you in a minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.